The next presenter this morning is Jerusha Greenwood. Welcome, Ms. Greenwood. Do you have any IT needs this morning?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. You have 10 minutes. There's a ticker on the screen. You can keep track. Thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you, Commissioners, for providing me with this opportunity. Again, my name is Dr. Jerusha Greenwood. I instruct in the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism at Cal Poly. I just want to first say that I have nothing but sympathy for the people who are going to come up and speak today regarding this ordinance. I have personal experience with my father-in-law having to sell out his property in North Carolina. He grew tobacco, soybeans, and corn. He got to a point where he could no longer afford to farm his land anymore and had to sell, and now works in an office job, which he hates, sits in a cubicle, and is miserable most days when he goes to work. So I have nothing but sympathy for you and the concerns you have about this ordinance. But I'm here today to talk about a broader issue regarding tourism and sustainability and the issue of agritourism. As we all know, tourism does play a key component of San Luis Obispo's economy. As far as tourism assets go, we are plush with gems that attract a multitude of different types of tourists. In particular, tourists are drawn to our landscape, from beaches to vineyards. We offer opportunities for tourists to have recreational experiences that can keep them coming back from year to year. In San Luis Obispo, many of these opportunities are in rural areas. Tourists, especially those coming from urban regions, are often drawn to rural landscapes. Whether their goal is to reconnect with their rural roots, provide their kids an experience in the country, or simply buy fresh produce, they bring with them an economic infusion and take home increased knowledge about the land where their food comes from. The importance of these experiences should not be underestimated. In a time when most children believe the source of their food is the local supermarket and farmland is increasingly encroached upon by urban sprawl, these experiences can add to the number of consumers who advocate for locally grown food. This is where agritourism comes in. According to Hendricks and Love, agritourism is the provision of quality experiences for tourists and other visitors that is a combination of agricultural products and tourism services. Agritourism occurs on-site or off-site and includes agricultural-related educational, cultural, historical, environmental, and recreational activities and events. The goal of agritourism is to sustain cultural, environmental, and economic vitality. Agritourism has many manifestations, from you-pick fields of strawberries to farm stands, to farm stays and corn mazes. There are a multitude of ways for farmers to reap additional benefits from their land. These value-added strategies can help farmers pay for things like insurance, feed, and even bolster profits in times when prices are low and profit margins are thin. Agritourism can also contribute to the stability of the ag industry in a region. Engaging in this form of rural tourism, however, is not an easy task to undertake. As many of you know, you have to actually ask yourselves if this type of activity is appropriate for you and your family, if there are actually opportunities available on the property for agritourism, or if these things needed to be developed, what kind of startup costs there are, the cost of liability insurance, any regulations present that may apply to their operations, if the infrastructure is available, both private and public, that will support agritourism, if the activity will hinder or complement existing farm operations, how the activity will impact neighbors, if there is demand in the region for the experiences they offer, and what the other opportunities for agritourism are in their region. This isn't necessarily a problem for San Luis Obispo County, but when you're kind of alone and don't have other neighbors who are engaging in agritourism, it's hard to draw visitors. Tourism, however, like any other industry, comes with costs and benefits. For years and years in the past, tourism was seen as what's known as a smokestackless industry. Many people saw the economic benefits, but didn't necessarily see the economic, social, and environmental costs. This is not the case. Environmental degradation, economic leakage, and impacts on communities are common when tourism is not planned effectively or sustainably. And when I say sustainably, I do mean long-term considerations, not 5 or 10 years, but really thinking far into the future. I think we can all agree that we do want to sustain this industry through responsible and cooperative planning, especially when it comes to special events. There is no doubt among tourism academics that special events have the potential to contribute to the economic base of many communities. Non-local attendees of these events tend to stay longer in a region, spend more money than individuals who are there to visit for a day, and are more likely to return to a region. These destination tourists are highly sought after by any tourism-dependent community. The money spent by such tourists helps support the tax base and create economic impact through the multiplier effect. However, the economic benefits supplied by these tourists may be negated by the following factors if not addressed by appropriate planning. Tourism is often characterized by low-paying, low-skilled jobs. These positions are often occupied by individuals with low spending power. Moreover, the high cost of living in counties like San Luis Obispo often necessitate that many of these workers live outside of county limits. Wages earned are spent on groceries, utilities, and taxes within their home regions and not within the region in which they work. These expenditures are therefore removed from the county's income and can represent economic leakage. Tourism in general increases the cost of living for host community residents. As the cost of living increases, fewer residents can afford to live in the area. Traditional agriculturalists may be drawn away from that industry toward tourism and events. This could lead to a loss of precious agricultural land, further leading to a change in the prices of local agricultural products and cause even more economic leakage as it becomes necessary to import even more agricultural items to support the local population and the growing tourism industry. There's a danger that San Luis Obispo County could grow itself out of business. Without adequate controls regarding the growth of some industries, supply in the form of venues for events could outgrow demand. This is an especially risky proposition for industries like tourism, for which demand is extremely elastic and reacts to economic fluctuation. Without knowing the other parts of the ordinance amendments regarding lodging, food, and beverage, it's impossible to anticipate and therefore plan for the inevitable impacts on the tourism industry. Consistent and complete information disclosure with all stakeholders is a prerequisite for sustainability. The sustainability of tourism comes into question when there are structural changes to an economy and when economies are overdependent on tourism. Structural changes occur when economies shift so that one industry dominates others. Once a structural shift occurs, opportunities for employment in the dominant industry may draw people away from other industries. Output from those industries may decline as a result. Lack of economic diversity carries with it the same dangers as monoculture farming. An incurable crop disease and the shock to a tourism system in the form of a recession, natural disaster, or social disaster have the same effect. They destroy the stability of the economic system. An overdependence on tourism can make the region vulnerable to seasonality and fluctuations in demand. Destinations can accommodate seasonality by providing for a diversity of opportunities year-round. There is, however, little a destination can do to increase demand if there are economic fluctuations or loss of interest in the destination. Finally, the ideal use of agricultural land is for the production of agricultural products and the promotion of those agricultural products through the use of value-added strategies. Benefits of agritourism come from the educational opportunity for the public and the supplements it provides to farmers. San Luis Obispo County is blessed with many opportunities to expand on these benefits, and tourists are drawn to our unique and beautiful landscape. We have, you might say, a golden egg-laying goose in our own backyard. We should neither take that goose for granted or exhaust the resources it provides. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Greenwood. Thank you for coming down this morning. Any questions before she leaves the podium?